Heyo. What's up, Dope? Dope, you're first again. There you go. Howdy. What's up for Brees? And Darkade and Justin. Jay Mercy. What's up, Ali? How's it going, everybody? Yeah, Dope's, like, always so fast. It's funny. But yeah, today I was going to do a arc tier list for Black Clover, where it's all of the currently completed arcs. So the current arc is not going to be in there. You never seen it? Oh yeah, well here you go. Now you're going to be seeing a a Black Clover. I almost said Dark Clover. A Black Clover tier list for the arcs. I'm gonna post this stream onto my Clips channel. So if you want to watch it in full, it will be on there of my arc tier list. So yeah, it will be a video, but not on this channel. But this is gonna be a shorter stream today. It's been a crazy weekend, crazy first week of going back to school, but normal length streams will be returning next week, especially with the Black Clover manga coming back. Is this manga only, or so is it gonna take? Or is it going to take into account anime too? It's going to be mainly manga, yeah. I'm not really thinking of the anime when I'm making this tier list, to be honest. Broku is better than Broku no Hero. I think it's been over 2 years now since I changed it. From Broku no Hero to Broku. Yeah, I'm glad I changed it. It really made no sense to keep it that way. But let's get into the tier list. Alright, so we got all of the arcs. I'm going to try and put them in order. I'll do that. Alright, so we got the Magic Knight's Entrance Exam. We got the Dungeon Exploration, Capital Invasion, Eye of the Midnight Sun, Seabed Temple, Witch's Forest, Royal Knights, Elf Reincarnation, Heart, and Spade. So the current arc is not going to be in there. Now I believe these two are technically called the Joint Struggle arc and then the Spade Raid arc, so these are not the actual names. But I mean, I think you guys get the point. I'm going to be bringing up also the lengths of these chapters, so you know like what chapters these are technically in. I need to go grab that. So we're starting with the Magic Knight's Entrance Exam arc, and that features chapters 1 through 10. Oh my god. This wiki's become unusable with how much ads they're putting in there. So yeah, Magic Knight's Entrance Exam arc, it is chapters 1 through 10, the first 10 chapters of the series. I'm just going to go with the order, or within the order of how quality I think these are, and then I'll try and place these in order of, like, you know, worst to best. I'm going to put a B for the Magic Knight's Entrance. I think it's a solid start, and for me, like, I guess these wouldn't even be the best things to use, because I have a different, like, rating system personally than the typical, like, D, C, B, A, or S. Like, I think that, because when people say a B, people think 80 to 89%, or that would be like an 8 out of 10 or whatever. But in my own rating system, I put a 5 out of 10 as an average, and an 8 out of 10 is something that's like great. Like I consider a 7 out of 10 good, and an 8 out of 10 great. So I actually think this is really good. But I'm just putting it in B just for the point of this whole rating system. So even I would say that Magic Knight's Entrance Exam is probably my least favorite arc in Black Clover, but it's still really, really good. I need to pull up chat on here. There we go. Okay, what is going on? What the heck? I cannot even see anything. Okay. Now I can see you guys. Alright. Now we're good to go. So yeah. I think it's like a 7 or 7.5, 8 out of 10. So it's between good and great, or it is great. I think it's actually better in the anime mostly. You know, the anime does kind of make more like Sasuke in the opening than the manga does, but from a manga standpoint, it's pretty solid. It's a really, really good start for Black Clover. What do you guys think about the Magic Knight's Entrance Exam? Okay, I just lost the chat completely again. What the heck is going on? Sorry guys, I guess technical issues. What is this doing? My computer is going crazy. I just completely lost the chat. Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on with my computer. Like I'm trying to read you guys' chat and do this, and it literally just keeps disappearing. So I need to do something to fix it. I don't know why I can't just keep the chat on screen. Like this is the same thing I do every time I stream. And for some reason this is not working right now. Alright, I think it's gonna be working. Nope, and it's not. Can you guys hear me though? Oh my god. Oh my god, what is going on with my fucking computer? Jesus Christ. I literally can... Okay, fuck it. I'm just doing it without it then or whatever. Alright. I'm just gonna go on the next one. So I would put it the dungeon exploration. That I would put it above the Magic Knight's Entrance Exam. I don't know if I would put it like in A tier though, like for this sake, because I don't think that Black Clover really gets phenomenal until later on. But yeah, so I would put the dungeon exploration. It's better than Magic Knight's Entrance Exam. I would give this a solid 8 out of 10, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. Probably actually no, I probably put the Magic Knight's Entrance Exam at a 7.5, and I probably put this at an 8 out of 10. So the dungeon arc is an 8 out of 10. Oh yeah, and I will the chapter range for this arc is 11 through 21. So just for reference, only like a pretty short arcs, which that's, I don't know guys, I kind of want to do a video on either, I don't know how I want to do it. Do I want to do a video just giving my critiques of the Spade Saga, or do a video that is a complete breakdown of the Elf Saga versus the Spade Saga? Like, I've been wanting to do a video for a while, comparing the Spade Saga and the Elf Saga. Because I think that the Elf Saga is better than the Spade Saga. I did minimize the chat, QVA, I think that's the name. I got it to work, but it's just not as my normal setup, so it's not as easy to see, but it's working. But yeah, because I think that, like, I get like why people like the Spade Saga better than the Elf, and I actually tweeted this the other day, and I got a lot of people agreeing and disagreeing. I think it's pretty split in the fandom, but like the Spade Saga had the highest highs, but the lowest lows of the series. Like the peaks of the Spade Saga are way higher than the peaks of the Elf arc, but then the lows of the Elf Saga, or the lows of the Spade Saga, they are so much lower than the lows. But overall, like, one of my main reasons why I like the Elf Saga, and it's because it has so much more structure going into it. Like, the Elf Saga, guys, was 8 arcs. The Spade Saga was 2 arcs. These 2 pretty big arcs made the Spade Saga. Whereas what I liked about the Elf Saga is there were these mini stories that built up into the grand, like, super long reincarnation arc within the Elf Saga. Like, we had a bunch of mini arcs that built up the series, that expanded some world building and explained the characters, and I thought it was done really well, and that's one of the reasons why I like the Elf Saga more than the Spade Saga. Like, I love the Spade Saga, and I think it really was close to being, like, even better than the Elf Saga, but I would love to do a video comparing the two, because, like, I get why people like the Spade Saga more. I don't get why because there's people who love the Spade Saga and think that you're dumb or you didn't pay attention if you like the Elf Saga more than the Spade Saga. Like, I don't get that. Like, the Spade Saga, I think the thing with the Elf Saga, it's way better written, whereas the Spade Saga has more hype and transformations, and it is still good writing for the most part. There's, things I disagree with, like I think the main issues I have with the Spade Saga is Morris and Lucifero and Saint Stage and Mimosa. Like, I actually didn't really mind that she saved everybody against Megicula, but the fact that she did it again after the fight against Lucifero, like, I get it, guys. Like, she's a healer who has ultimate magic, so it makes sense, but I think that you could have done, like, abridged and either she saves the people in the Megicula fight, but then she can't save everybody in the Lucifero fight. Like, let's say she doesn't get there in time or whatever. Like, that's one of my minor issues with the Spade Saga. And also, like I said, there was a way more build-up in the Elf Saga, like 8 arcs to build up the entire saga, whereas 2 arcs for the Spade Saga. And it's also really weird because it's a little jarring with the Spade Saga, where you have them do this time skip before the Spade Saga to get stronger, and then they have their first arc, and they fail, and then they get even stronger in 3 days to go into the Spade Reg arc, which is the second half of the Spade Saga. Like, it's just so jarring that they just spent 6 months, and now they're going to train for 3 days. Like, I think that what the Spade Saga should have done is, I think, for one, it should have been longer, the two. Like, the Spade Saga is only 103 chapters, whereas the Elf Saga is 228 chapters. Like, the Elf Saga is more than twice as long. Yeah, they're both goated. Like, I love them. Like, I'd probably put the Elf Saga as a 9.5 out of 10. And the Spade Saga would be barely, like, lesser because of how high the peaks are and, like, the Lucius reveal. But, like, it's just, I think that what Tabata could have done or should have done is to expand the length of the Spade Saga and added a gap in between the 2 arcs that we have. Like, I think he should have made it so that instead of the Tree of Cliffoff was going to activate in 7 days, and that's why they invaded in 3 days or whatever. That instead of that, let's say that the cliff off was going to take months to activate, then we could have had a whole nother arc between them to space them out and make it more structured and build up stuff a little bit more. But Justin Broku no Silver Clover. I'm reading the Space Saga now. And I don't remember having any problems with it. I thought it was cool. Maybe I can tell. I mean, it's all subjective. Like anybody could think that anything is perfect. I used to think that like I thought the Space Saga was better up to 300 up to chapter 311. Once Morris came out and then the Morris L happened, which was one of the worst writing moments I've ever seen from Tabata, or probably is the worst in my opinion. And it was just so bad, such a letdown. That's when I kind of got iffy on the Space Saga, and then for the last many months now, I've kind of been tackling back and forth, which I like better. But then I finally realized now that I like the Elf Saga more. I think it's just better writing. What's up, Sleeping Danger? Nobody can die. Yeah, I mean, I don't think deaths even needed to happen, even though I think some could have actually improved it. But it's the fact that there wasn't enough lasting effects of the saga. But so yeah, I think that I do want to do Elf Saga versus Spade Saga and talk about why I think the Elves is better. I think that if you compare the two, I would say the Elf Saga is way more fleshed out and the Spade Saga is rushed. Lima, I use my character tier list maker. I've added it. Yeah, I'm going to do that. This is just tonight's going to be a short stream, whereas that's going to be a long ass stream to do that. So I need to wait till when I can stream for a long time to do that. But I definitely am going to do that, Lima. But yeah, was the a fight. That was a good fight, but it was a little short. So yeah. Anyways, Capital Invasion. In my opinion, I think it's another step up for the series for Black Clover. And let me go to the list of story arcs and tell you what chapters. So this is chapters 22 to 37. So I think this was at the time, the longest arc in Black Clover when it came out. So I really like the Capital Invasion arc. I think that it added, a lot of stakes to the series because you had the budding favorite captain that people had, Fodolion. He had his arm taken. People thought he was, close to death. His magic item or magic stone was stolen. So it was really huge. It was really huge to have that happen in that arc. And I thought it was, a lot of great fights too. Like Asta versus Roddy's was really cool. Versus Catherine, and like leveling up and finally using Bell. So that's why I think that, it was really good. It was barely a step up from the dungeon. I think that how Black Clover started is, a pretty solid start with the Magic Knight's entrance, and then it was like a little step up, and then a little step up for the Capital Invasion. And Black Clover at this point was where I think is like, I'm really liking this series, but it's not becoming my favorite or anything yet. But then the Eye of the Midnight Sun arc happened. Is that even what it's called? Yeah, I guess it is. No, Eye of the Midnight Sun Encounter arc, and that's chapters 38 to 56. And holy crap, guys, I remember reading this and then eventually watching it too. This was so good. Like, holy shit, I love this arc. Finally seeing Yami fighting, and then us finally getting to see the top dogs of the villain group, Asta progressing, and then seeing the captains actually fight the villain group. And because at this point, we knew Yami was very, very strong, but we didn't really know much about him or what he could do. And then it also expanded on the world building too by introducing Ki and the Land of the Sun, and basically gave Asta like a new ability that helped him later on. Like the Ki has been foundational for Asta ever since this point. So, really, really like this arc. This is the arc that, because I believe this is volume 6. At least part of the arc is in volume 6. And I just remember when I was reading this, I remember I was still living in Iowa, and I bought all the available officially released Black Clover volumes. Because what happened was I got caught up to the anime, and I think there was only 15 episodes of the anime out at the time. And I just wanted to get beyond where they were. And I didn't really mess with fanlations at the time, because I hated the shitty qualities of the scans that where you could barely even tell what's going on, and then these shitty translations. Because early on, a lot of the Black Clover translations were not very good. They looked like shit in terms of how they were written, and the quality of the scans they had, sometimes they were blurry or very dark, and you could barely tell what's going on. So I wanted to buy every single manga that was available, and I did that. And man, like the Item of the Night Sun, ooh, I love that arc. That's when I was like, shit, like this is gonna be a pretty good series. But this is what I love about the Elf Saga, though, is that for me, it's pretty much the snowball effect, because Seabed Temple came out, and man, that was even better. That was even better. Seabed Temple, guys, Veto has got to be, like, everybody says that Black Clover's villains are lackluster, and they suck, which I think there is some credence to that, right? Actually, I'm going to take a little break and just show you guys the story arcs real quick for the chapters, just so if you want to know. So the Seabed Temple arc is 57 to 74. So, but anyways, Seabed Temple arc. Veto is a great villain. And I actually do want to make a video talking about, like, giving an analysis of his character, because he's a good villain. I wouldn't say he's, like, groundbreaking or like, completely phenomenal, but he should be held up as an actual good villain in Black Clover. Like, when people say it's only Patri and now Lucius, I think Veto, at least Seabed Temple Veto, should be used as a good villain. He was convincing, he was maniacal, and then just the whole idea of him being despair and being a literal beast that everybody had teamed up to fight against, I thought it was great. So yeah, I love this. Seabed Temple is, again, this is why I love Black Clover, the Elf Saga. It's a slow build of, okay, it starts off solid. Oh, it's good. It's really good. It's great. Holy crap, this is, like, becoming a phenomenal manga. This is probably going to be one of my favorite mangas of all time. And that is part of I think, the great flow of the Elf Saga, is it builds atop each other so well. This is like a small snowball, and now it's a boulder of a snowball rolling down the mountain. Like, that's how good Tabata was writing the Elf Saga. There were so many good fights in there, because you had the game, like the game from, I think, what's his name, Gifso, the father of the Seabed, like, he's one of the leaders of the Seabed Temple. His game was so interesting, like, and it was so funny because they thought they were gonna win because these Black Bulls over there were low ranks, but then they're like, oh well, you know, we're the Black Bulls, the ranks don't really apply to us like that, and they body them, and then the Item of the Night Sun show up, and then we get a lot of progression for Noelle as like her power progression as she gets Sea Dragon's Roar, and then you get the whole amazing character development of Finral and Vanessa, because Finral at that point is a coward, and what does he do? He comes in and joins and helps the fight against Veto, who Finral even is admitting that Veto is stronger than the unsealed Patri. Veto has more magic power than Yami or whatever. He's literally admitting this, but he still comes back to help fight, and they end up getting the W. And then, this isn't even really a complaint, because it ended up being, like, still pretty hype, but they defeat Veto, and then he gets his self-destruct state. But then Yami finally comes in and does his Dimension Slash. Now, the reason why I don't think it's a bad thing is because it was foreshadowed. Like, in the previous arc, in the Item of the Night Sun, Yami said he was about to break his limits when he was fighting the Third Eye by himself, and then the captains came. And then he finally does break his limit in the Seabed Temple, and he gets Dimension Slash. Can I move the chat to the right? I could try. Oh yeah, I guess you can't really see, huh? Damn. Yeah, I'll see if I can do that. That should be better. Damn, you're gonna be able to see it too, because it's on black text for that part. So yeah, I keep saying it, but this is why, like, the Elf Saga is so great. It's just a complete snowball effect. The only issue with the Elf Saga the Witch's Forest, which I still like, but it breaks the snowball effect for Black Clover, because from here to here to here to here to here, it kept getting better, and I think it was a little bit of a step back for the Witch's Forest. Now, the Witch's Forest I don't think is a bad arc by any means. I still think it's better than these three, but I don't think it was as good as the Eye of the Midnight Sun or the Seabed Temple. It was still good though, but just not as good. Like, Fauna really wasn't a great villain. She was like the main villain for that arc, and then it became Ladros, and then it became the Witch, or not, I almost said the Witch's Force, the Witch Queen. Fauna she's not in my opinion, she's not a great villain. She had really very little character compared to Veto. And then Ladros, he at least actually, I think Ladros had a good character, little mini arc for the arc where, you know, he is kind of a mirror of Asta, where Ladros was born with no magical attribute. He was born with high magic power, but he had no attribute to use it with. And then he had the sorcery science from Morris given to him so that he could absorb other people's magic. But that's what I liked about that, is that Asta had a connection to the villain, as they both were born semi-powerless, at least for Ladros, because he still had high magic power. And even Fonzel was like, Ladros always had like the highest magic power around or whatever. So Ladros still was blessed with magic power, but he was born without a magical attribute, which is what he tried to use to get Asta on his side. Last appearance of your goat, Mars, sadly. Everyone forgot about the Witch Queen 3 or 4 years ago. She was considered to be in the top 5 strongest characters. Yeah, she's really kind of overrated in terms of power. Both underrated and overrated. Like, people think that she's weak because she couldn't beat Salamander. But that's actually not even true, because it was essentially seemingly all part of her plan, because what happened was, at the end of the entire... after Ladros was defeated, the Witch Queen starts, like, spamming spells, and Noelle was, like, freaking out. Like, she was basically saying, at the very least, the Witch Queen was stronger than the Salamander all along. And so she is strong in that arc. Like, she might have even been stronger than Spirit Ladros, but we don't really know how strong she is now. But yeah, I still think it's good. Like, it's in the A tier. Like, it's better than these 3 arcs, but this is where the snowball effect took a little bit of a... Like, the snowball was rolling down the mountain. It was getting really big, and then it hit a tree with the Witch's Forest arc, and just got slowed down a little bit. But it's okay, because then we get the Black Clover's first S tier arc, the Royal Knights. Man, this is so peak. And I love the manga and the anime version of this arc. It's phenomenal. Like, absolutely love the Royal Knights. I loved how this wasn't just a conventional anime tournament that you always get in every anime or every manga, where it's these one-on-one fights, or I guess how a lot of anime will do it is that usually it can be battle royales to start in different, like, circles, and then the winner of those, like the 16 winners, will go into a 16 tournament of one-on-one matches. But no, I love how it was different for Black Clover. How it was, you had this area, you had 2 teams of 3, and you had a crystal to protect. And how that made it so it was a lot more team-oriented, and it made it a lot more team-based and magical attribute-based, and less on power, because you had to protect something. You couldn't just go out and fight. You had to play with strategy. And that's what I really liked about the Royal Knights arc. And introduced what I thought, he's still a great character, but he was even greater back then. He just hasn't had as much development since, and that's Zora, who we all thought was Zerx at the time. Like, his whole character arc, the entire Royal Knights arc, was phenomenal. And I'm going to take a little quick look at how long... I didn't even look at the Witch's Force. So, Witch's Force was 75 through 101. Royal Knights is 102 to 149. So okay, so technically, that means that the Julius fight and everything is in the Royal Knights arc. Okay. That's interesting. I wonder if this is official, or if this is this website's actual, like, personal opinion for the website. I don't know. But so yeah, Zora was great in this arc, and I loved his whole, like, you know, his dad was the first peasant magic knight, and he was killed by his teammates, and Zora's like the vigilante. Like, I love Zora. I think that he could be a much better character if Tabata focused on him more. Like, he has so much going for him in this world. Like, I love his personality, for one. He's almost like if you fused the Batman and the Joker into the same character. That's kind of how I see Zora. Like, he's a chaotic good, and he is like if the Joker was actually a vigilante like Batman. Like, not a villain, but a vigilante. Like, I loved Zora. I would love for there to be a game or a light novel of Zora's upbringing more, like of his origin story of how he turned into this vigilante, because we do see like flashbacks in the manga and the anime of him saving people from evil Magic Knights. And we know the Magic Knights are a really messed up organization, especially when he first started, because, you know, ever since Joyce became the Wizard King, he's been making the Magic Knights a better organization. And, like, I would love to see a game or anything in Black Clover, not light novel, a spin-off manga of anything, where it's Zora starting off as this peasant in this world where the Magic Knights, which are supposed to be the good guys, are abusing the peasants and the commoners, and how he has to fit in that system of, well, technically the Magic Knights, the good guys, are the bad guys, and that means in order to go against them and protect the people, you have to be a bit more strategy based. So, because if Zora just straight up goes and bodies Magic Knights all the time, he's gonna get caught. He can't do it like that every time. So I think that'd be really cool to see, like, him first learning how to use rune arrays, and maybe him just starting off he's terrible. He just has his ash magic and he can't do any rune arrays, and he slowly builds it up to the point where he gets his traps. Like, I think that could be a phenomenal story that Tabata could tell. And Zora would just be a great character for that. Batman and Joker is crazy. Yeah. Yeah, an anime canon Zora arc would be so good. It really would. Like, that's one of the reasons what makes the Royal Knights arc so freaking good is Zora as a character. How he is kind of like not a mirror of Asta, but he wants to change society. Zora does. He thinks Magic Knights are fucked up. And they are. Like, they objectively, the Magic Knights are a terrible organization. They really, really are. And it's interesting to see how Asta and Zora differ in this arc. Of Asta, he is a Magic Knight, and he wants to change and show that peasants are good and they can be Magic Knights. He wants to be the Wizard King to, help progress society. And Zora does it a completely different way, and how they kind of both progress from that. So, the highlight of that, of course, is Zora for me. But there's a lot of great fights. Asta squad versus Longress' squad. One of the best moments in all of Black Clover, and one of the most hype moments in all of anime or manga, is when it's Finral versus Longress. And then Longress nearly kills Finral, and the Black Bull show up to save Finral. And it's just like the hype of, like, Magna and Luck just pulling up to Longress, like, hey, we're gonna kill you if you do anything to Finral. Like, that was so hype. Like, holy shit, such a great arc. Like peak fiction right there, Royal Knights arc. And that is good that we had the Royal Knights, because, like I said, the arc before that, the Witch's Forest, is a little bit like it hit a tree, and then it made the snowball a little bit smaller. But then what it did is it knocked the snowball onto an even steeper hill, and we got to the Royal Knights arc, and it was phenomenal. But we also had more. Like, the Royal Knights arc, according to this website, it's more. It goes into when the Royal Knights go and fight the Eye of the Midnight Sun before they turn into the elves, which I thought that was a good invasion. We get to see Mariona fight Raya, and we get to see the Eye of the Midnight Sun attack Gauche and Gordon and Gray, and then it introduces Henry, which I loved the introduction of Henry as a character who was actually foreshadowed for a while, because we saw him and there was like rumors of a ghost in the Black Bull's base, and then having the revelation that it was Henry all along, this guy that we had seen. So ever since chapter 2, and had other little minor foreshadowing with showing him in the background, and that was good. And we also had this arc also includes the Star Festival, which even though that was kind of a slice of life type of thing, not really much of fighting there. I actually really like the Star Festival, that few chapters, and that also shows a great moment of when Austin and Yuno are declared the 2 best rookies, and the 2 rookies on the top 2 squads at that point, because the Black Bulls were number 2, and they get thrown onto the stage, and everybody's saying that, well, it started by Seke, so it's a rumor that Asta cheated. That Asta cheated to get there. That he doesn't actually have the power. And then Yuno's like, alright, Bell, let's go full power. And then Yuno launches a full power attack at Asta, and Asta just like slices through it like it's nothing to show how strong he is. Because then it makes everybody realize, well, if Yuno can make a power this strong, because they can sense it, everybody there can sense it, and Asta can just cut it up and destroy it, that means that Asta has to be strong. And actually, guys, I want to take a little step back. I was talking about the Spade Saga. This is one of the things that the Elf Saga does better than the Spade Saga, is the recognition for Asta and Yuno. Mainly for Asta, though, because in this saga, or this arc of within this arc of the Elf Saga, Asta and Yuno get recognized by the populace, because they did this in front of the populace. In the Spade Saga, we have this amazing moment of when Asta fights the Ancient Demon. This is a huge parallel, because it's protecting the Clover Kingdom, he's fighting an Ancient Demon, just like Lumiere. An Ancient Demon was attacking the Clover Kingdom, he fought it, and Lumiere beat it. Technically, Asta did a better feat by clobbering it and surviving, whereas Lumiere needed to be sealed into a statue to survive. We don't get, like, the crowd really going crazy over it like they should have. Like how we got a scene from this where Asta and Yuno get recognized, and especially Asta gets recognized finally because everybody sees him slice a massive magical attack from Yuno. But the Spade Saga just kind of glosses over that fact that Asta saved the Clover Kingdom, fought an ancient demon of legend in front of them, and we don't get anything from that. Oh yeah, good point, Mister. I glossed over that. Real versus Yuno was an amazing fight. It's even better in the anime, but in the manga it's really good too. Finral go up, yeah. Finral was great in the Royal Knights arc, for sure. But yeah, Black Clover just kept getting better though, right? Oh, one more thing to talk about the Royal Knights. The Royal Knights arc also, technically, according to that list, has the Julius versus Patri fight, which, as a fight, in terms of narrative, it was so good. Like, that the reveal that William was, he had Patri's soul in him the entire time, and the actual fight was phenomenal, and the gravity of Julius being killed was absolutely wild. Like, I remember when the anime finally dropped of Julius fighting Patri, and man, that was phenomenal. I still remember it. I believe that that episode dropped either the day before or the day after my birthday, so it was like a birthday present for me to watch the Julius versus Patri fight. And man, I still love that episode. I absolutely love it. I love looking up clips on YouTube of that fight. It's so good. Like, it's so good just in choreography and everything, and the actual narrative of Julius versus Patri, and Julius having to hold back because of William's body, or soul inside the body. But that leads right into... This actually isn't my favorite arc, but it is phenomenal. This is the Elf Reincarnation arc, which is the final arc of the Elf Saga. The Elf the Elf Reincarnation arc is chapters 150 to chapters 228. Yeah, 228. So 150 to 228. This is a very, very big arc. And, like, if you look at the tier list, it builds up. Like I said, you get the Witch's Force, which brings it back. But besides that, in my opinion, the Elf Saga builds up into the final saga, or final arc of the saga, which is the Elf Reincarnation arc, which is a massive, almost 80-chapter arc, and it's phenomenal. And everything kind of threads together pretty well. And the resolution for this arc was really, really good. There's so many amazing fights, character progression, character reveals, plot twists in the Elf Reincarnation arc that I could really talk all night to you guys of the Elf Reincarnation. I think you guys already know all the amazing stuff that happens. Like, you get Mariona versus the Five Elves. You get Austin, saving Hodge, which is one of my favorite moments and one of the probably the more underrated things that happens in Black Clover. It was on Austin, they can go back to Hodge, and everybody sees them now as these magic knights, and they gotta save Hodge. That was amazing. And of course, who can forget Austin versus Licht? Like, I remember when that episode came out in the anime. I was in Las Vegas, and I got sick while I was in Las Vegas, so I'm glad that episode came out while I was in Las Vegas. I watched it like 4 times. I literally just watched it like 4 times in a row because it was so beautiful. I mean, it's also good in the manga, but the anime clearly made that fight better than the manga. Yeah, you're right, M. Or is that Ern or M? I can't tell because I have to look far away. The Elf arc is the definition of Chef's Kiss. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, King DJ, but there's just so many great fights. Like that's the thing with the Elf Reincarnation arc. It is great storytelling, but it still has the hype. Is the hype as hype as the Spade Saga? No. But I think that the Spade Saga sacrificed some of the quality storytelling for more hype when the Elf arc or the Elf Saga didn't need to do it. Just the progression of Asa and in this arc, them literally surpassing Licht and Lumiere. Like Lumiere, the character they've been looking up to for years, they get to meet Lumiere, they surpass Lumiere, and they defeat the devil that Licht and Lumiere could not defeat themselves. It was amazing, and just like I said, the Elf arc is a lot of hype, but it's earned because it was built up for 7 arcs before the Elf Reincarnation arc. 7 arcs. Everything was built up properly and structured, and so when there was hype, there was more going into it than just hype. It was actual quality storytelling. Like, you had Fagolion earning the Fire Spirit Salamander, and coming back, and he's a badass. And we get more development on Fagolion and Mariona when they both fought their elves, and the plot twist that, because a lot of people don't realize this, but because I was a weekly reader years ago of Black Clover. Like, I think I finally got caught up to the Black Clover manga. It was right after Yami and Sharla fought in the manga, like chapter 169. And I remember going into, like, when they were going into the Shadow Palace, the vast majority of people thought that the saga was going to end like into a lot less subverted way than it did. Everybody thought that the final battle was going to be Licht versus a bunch of captains, and then Austin, and Licht was going to be the final villain. Like, that was the fandom's, like, that everybody thought was going to happen. Because Zagred was not revealed yet. And then that was one of the greatest plot twists when it was finally revealed. Because we knew that there was something weird going on this entire time. Everybody knew. But we didn't know what it was. And then the Zagred reveal, and then the whole reveal that this was his entire plan. And that the reveal is that, yeah, that ancient demon really was Licht all along. And Licht and Lumiere were, great friends. And the whole thing was a tragedy. That, the royals have the elven power. And that was part of Zagred's plan to trick the humans into elves into the massacre. Was a huge, huge, huge plot twist that was done very, very well. Of course, it's the best plot twist in the series. No, of course, that's Lucius. But it was still great. And he was really menacing. And I'm going to have to say that Zagred clears Lucifero as a villain. Because if you look at it, Zagred actually did something. He manifested. Zagred actually did it. And he had to do it way more smarter than Lucifero did. And really, Zagred did the same shit. He fought a bunch of captains, he fought a bunch of strong characters, and then he lost. That's what Lucifero did. But I think Zagred was a lot better written, and his reveal was a lot better. And I don't even know if Zagred actually really... Actually, no. Technically, Zagred did introduce actual lore into Black Clover, whereas Lucifero really didn't, because Zagred, he revealed what is a 5-leaf clover grimoire. It's a grimoire of despair. It's when a 4-leaf clover grimoire wielder falls into despair, they become, a 5th-leaf clover grimoire. That's what happens. And a 5th-leaf clover grimoire is needed for a devil to manifest their true power, because devils don't naturally have devils don't naturally have grimoires. So Zagred actually did more than Lucifero, and that's why I think that he is the actual way better final villain of the saga than Lucifero. Lucifero was hype, and he was super strong, yeah. And the fights were hype, but in terms of the actual narrative and actual power, too, like, Zagred's power was way cooler than Lucifero's. Yeah, Zagred was super broken with his word magic. Marcel, the backstories, the reveals, the fights, the lore, and the conclusion is what puts the Spade Invasion arc above the Elf Reincarnation. The anime is going to make it that much better as well. I disagree, honestly. But I mean, it's all subjective. But yeah, it's a hard disagree for me. It really, like I love the Spade Saga. Like, I love it. It's really, really good. It's great. It's amazing. But I just think the Elf Saga is better. And, like, I'll probably make a whole video on it. Elf Saga versus Spade Saga. So yeah, it's crazy how Yuno can now easily one-shot 10 Zagrets. Yeah, I mean, it's likely even way crazier than 10, because technically he, in his base, scaled above Zagred at the start of the Spade Saga, if you use the anime canon. And it's very likely that those high-ranking devils that he killed that were with a Dramuk are way stronger, because it was revealed that mid-ranking devils and higher, they feed off the mana of the world. So if those high-ranking devils have been in the world for 15 months, and 15 months of eating mana, then they're likely way stronger than we can even way stronger than we can even attempt to quantify or calculate. Spade Saga introduced Noct, therefore it's the best arc. I mean, I think that's just a really weird way to have that. Or, like, I guess if Noct's your favorite character, that would make sense. I love Noct. He's one of my favorite characters, but I think for me, it takes a lot more than just revealing a character that I like for it to be the best saga. Yeah, the Monozone Dimension Slash was pretty good too, I agree. Spade Saga took the story dark in a good way. I mean, it did, but if you look at the Elf Saga, or if you look at the Elf Reincarnation arc within the Elf Saga, that is very dark. Like, Zagred fucking tricked the humans into literally committing genocide by wiping out all of the elves. So, well, technically Mimosa and one of the Lick Juniors survived. And, like, Zagred was really dark at what he did, just to manifest his true form. And we don't even really know what Zagred wanted. That's, I guess, one of my critiques. Like, I wish we got a little bit more about Zagred, like how he originally got to the human world and what he wanted to do after. But if we just go based off what devils already do in Black Clover, you could just, like, guesstimate and say he just wanted to cause chaos and caused basically despair, because he says that he's all of them. I believe that Zagred says that he is he's despair. God, I can't remember, what are the other words? He despair, rage, and blah, blah. I can't remember. I don't know why I'm shooting blanks. Gonna do a little trolling. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I completely understand why anybody likes the Spade Saga more. Like, I used to. And then for the past few months, I've been debating it in my head. I'm just talking about it, you know, to other Black Clover fans. And, yeah, so... But, as much as I love the Elf Reincarnation arc, I think the Spade... Or I think it's called the Joint Struggle arc. I believe that's what it's technically called. Yeah, Heart Kingdom Joint Struggle arc. 229 to 260. I personally think that as an arc is better than the Elf Reincarnation arc. I really do. I really like this arc. The way it introduces the Dark Triad. I love the progression of the characters in terms of power and look, and they just seem way more confident and more mature. And what I really, really loved about this arc is that everybody failed. Everybody failed. The Noel and everybody else, they failed, and Lolopechka got kidnapped. Yuno and the Golden Dawn completely failed, and Willing got kidnapped. Asta and Yami, technically, they won. But it kind of shows the symbolism that you're only as strong as the whole, or you're only as strong as the weakest link. And, didn't take up his his part of the burden. And because of that, Zenon was able to come in and take Yami away, even though they beat Dante. Like, that's what I love about this arc. Like, the fights are peak, and it has hype, and I really can't think of anything that's necessarily terrible with the Heart Kingdom in terms of writing. And then also, I love that everybody lost. Like, it really raised the tension and the stakes of the series to have everybody lose. Like, all of them lost. Utterly, completely lost. And I loved it. What's up, Relax, Romby? Yeah. Like, good point, Sasa. Like, everybody lost. Yami got kidnapped. Emotionally is broken down. Same with Asa. Yeah, it was great. It really was. Yeah, external screaming. They pushed past their limits. They beat Dante, but Zenon said no. And it basically showed that surpassing your limits will only go so far. Because they technically beat Dante, but... Oh, damn, I didn't even do that. So, yeah. I think the Heart Kingdom is the... Damn, I didn't even realize that, but that means that I think the Heart Kingdom is the best arc in Black Clover. The Heart Kingdom Joint Struggle arc is the best arc in Black Clover. Damn, do I really think that? I don't know. I think so. Honestly, I do think it's the best arc in Black Clover, the Heart Kingdom Joint Struggle arc. I really liked it. Spade Saga, I think it is a legit S-tier arc in Black Clover, but it's not as good as these. I think it's better than Seabed, all these arcs, but it's not enough. This is chapter 261 to 331. So this is a very, very long arc as well in Black Clover. It's technically a bit lesser in length than the Elf Reincarnation arc, but you could argue that it is longer because technically they did add on the 13 chapters after the Elf arc was pretty much done, and it was the Asta's trial, Noel talking to Dorothy, Asta and co. going to Gordon's family, and then traveling to the Heart Kingdom. That really should have been its own mini arc called like the post-Elf struggles or whatever, but they tacked it onto the Elf arc. So that makes the Elf arc the longest, but if you look at it in terms of arbitrary, the Spade Kingdom arc is probably the longest. But I have a lot of issues with the Spade Saga, despite it being amazing. Like, not the Saga, Spade Arc, the Spade Kingdom. I think it's called what is it called? Spade Kingdom Raid Arc, technically, is what it's called. Like I said, I love it. It's S tier. People think that just because I do have criticisms of it, and that because of this arc, I don't put the entire Spade Saga above the Elf Saga. But no, I love it. It's S tier. That makes it, what, so 3, 6, 10? It's the 4th best arc out of 10 in Black Clover. Like, that means it's pretty good. But like I said, I just have too many complaints with it to put it above, and it really just drags it down. Like, if Tabata had not done several of the complaints, I probably would have it higher. But like I said, the things I talked about is after Yuno defeated Zenon is when my opinions changed on this arc. Like, I thought this arc was god tier, top tier, near perfect at that point. The only thing I was a little iffy on up to then, from 261 to 311, was Mimosa saving everybody, even though Gaja's whole point of that was sacrificing his life. But I'm like, okay, you know, it's not the end of the world. Like, yes, Mimosa's a healer. She just got her ultimate magic. Okay, let's let her get this one. This arc is not over. We still have to deal with Morris and Zenon, because at the time we didn't have the Zenon fight or the Morris fight. But we get into the Zenon fight. I thought the Zenon fight was phenomenal. But then I made a whole video about it, guys. You guys already know my thoughts. I think that Morris is the biggest fumble of a villain in maybe the entire history of me reading any fiction. Like, part of it is because I love Black Clover, so I'm more hyped about it, so it was more of a letdown. But if you haven't, please go watch my video on Morris. I think it's called Black Clover's Most Disappointing Villain, because Tabata really had something going with him. He very, very implicitly foreshadowed him for the entire series to be this, like, god-tier villain. And I think you guys all know what happened with that, because he was fumbled so bad. Like I said, Morris, I'll go back into a little bit. Morris, he was already a threat before the Spade Saga, and then he gets revealed. He has a contract with Lucifero, giving him Lucifero, like, or Dark Triad level magic power, giving him gravity, and because he has devil power, it amplifies his own magic power to the point where he can extract Lolopechka's conjoined knowledge of all the past Heart Queens. And furthermore, Morris now works for the Spade Kingdom, a kingdom of vast resources and devil power, whereas before he did all of his science in the Diamond Kingdom, which did not have a lot of resources and had to really fight for all the resources. And then the cliff-off opens, and now Morris has an entire army of devils to experiment with. Somebody who could conjoin grimoires to give people 2 magical attributes, and he could give people magical attributes like he did with Ladros. Like, he could do all of this. So when we finally get to the Morris fight, we're thinking that, oh my god, this is going to be, like, this seems like it's going to be the end of Black Clover. Or not Black Clover, the end of the Spade Saga. This is probably going to be the end or whatever. Morris is going to have all these crazy different creations. What did Morris do? He beats Dorothy off screen. One of the most hyped by the fandom going into that chapter was we knew that Dorothy was going to fight Morris. Based on how Tabata was writing the story, we knew that Dorothy was going to fight Morris. And what happens? Tabata does that fight off screen. And then what happens? Morris makes one creation. One creation. He combines a bunch of devils into one. And what happens with that creation? The Black Bull's base runs through it and destroys it like a bug on a windshield. Marcel, I mean, if you haven't watched my Morris video, I would suggest just to watch it, because I think that really it's just people forgot that Morris was there. But if you go and just actually analyze what he was doing through the entire series, Tabata certainly had plans with him to be much greater. I really think that it's his new editor made him not go down the Morris route. But also, you had Morris, he got bodied by the Black Bulls, and none of the Black Bulls even thought to transform against him, which meant there was no tension in the fight because none of the Black Bulls thought he was even enough of a threat to transform. So, that's one of my big complaints is Morris. Reed Watson, but not even all the Black Bulls were there. And if Tabata, here's the thing, man. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, it is the Black Bulls, but this is a guy who controlled an entire kingdom with his smarts and has the ability to make these power system breaking. Like, Morris literally breaks the power system of Black Clover. And he did that before, early in the series. Now he has Lucifero's magic power and attribute, and he has Lolopechka's knowledge, which he literally, the only thing he did with Lolopechka's knowledge was make the Tree of Cliff-Off run faster. That's all he did with it. I am going to be making a short about that Mr. Star. Hopefully we'll have that out this week, about Morris's dad, or not Morris, Gordon's dad. Because everybody thinks that Gordon's dad has a 5-leaf Clover Grimoire. He does not. I get why, because the anime made it confusing, but he certainly has a 3-leaf Clover Grimoire. Of course, the other thing I hate about this arc is Lucifero. Sure, his presence was hype, the fight was hype, but he did not provide anything to the story. He was pretty much just a plot device. Which, plot devices can be good, but he was just kind of a fumble. What's up, Phobo Shiki? Another thing I don't like is Saint Stage. I thought Saint Stage was introduced very poorly into the series. My reasoning for that is we didn't really know about Saint Stage at all. All of a sudden, Noelle goes to fight Vanica, and then all of a sudden it's reintroduced. It's just introduced in the series that there's just very convenient and very powerful ability that spirit users can do, and Undine did not want to tell Lolopechka about it. Because Lolopechka could not learn an attack spell, and she didn't think that she could kill a devil because she couldn't learn an attack spell with Saint Stage. So she didn't think it was fit to train her in Saint Stage. Which I think is so dumb, because Lolopechka is only 21 years old. There's no reason to assume that it's impossible she could have learned an attack spell at some point. And my issue with this is that the power system of Black Clover allows multiple ways of power to bestowal. Remember that Licht and Lumiere, they could use their light on everybody in the Ziggurat fight to make it so that the life-eating spell would not eat them. Because remember, the life-eating spell could not eat their magic because they had forbidden magic, because they were affected by it. So the power system already allows you to share these special powers with other people, and Lolopechka is a support mage. So I think that her not telling Lolopechka about it, Undine not telling her about it, because she can't learn an attack spell, when Saint Stage is all about resonance with the host, it just kind of didn't really work for me. So, yeah, it just didn't work for me with that, because it also brings up the issue of Lolopechka has all the knowledge of the past Heart Queens, right? What this means is that it's either a plot hole because Lolopechka doesn't know about Saint Stage, or, which is probably maybe the more likely in her character, so it's not really a plot hole, but I think it's bad writing, is that Lolopechka never looked into the library of the past Heart Queens that's in her head to figure out how the Heart Queens got even stronger, to reach their full potential with Undine. Because if she looked into how the past Heart Queens reached their potential with the Undine, she would have figured it out. But the fact that she doesn't know about it kind of makes me think that she didn't even try to look. Did use Saint Stage, Justin. But so yeah, that's one of the things I think is iffy. Like, I understand that, Undine is, like, characters aren't perfect, that characters make mistakes, but Undine admitted that it was a selfish choice she made, and that choice put the entire continent at risk, and she knew that, and then they end up later finding out that it puts the whole world at risk, but it puts the entire continent at risk. It puts Lolopechka at risk because she's cursed by Magicula. So if she doesn't tell her how to defeat Magicula with Saint Stage, then it even puts her at further risk. But also, the dumb thing is that Undine could have been smart about it. She still could have been selfish, but she could have been selfishly smart. And what she could have done is she could have secretly told Yuno and Fagolion about Sage Stage. Noelle even says this in the manga. Like, we should have told Yuno and Fagolion about this because they both have spirits. And they could have totally done this. They could have not told Lilipechka about it, and then have Yuno do the Saint Stage, and or at least tell them about the concept, and then maybe not even train them or whatever. But my other kind of issue with that is that it's not even Saint Stage that Lilipechka should have known. Because if you want to throw that out or whatever and justify it, that's okay. But the fact that Lilipechka didn't even know Spirit Dive? Like, Spirit Dive literally is just using Mana Zone to absorb the power of your spirit. And she doesn't know Spirit Dive? And people, like, does she not realize that if she uses Spirit Dive, it makes your magic power stronger, which means it makes all of her defensive and support spells stronger, which means that her water spell weakens Vanaka even more, and her support spells make Noelle even stronger. Like, not only should Lilipechka know Spirit Dive, she should know the full Spirit Dive that Yuno can do. She has had Lilipechka, or she's had Undine way longer than Yuno, and has way more knowledge, because Undine, like, seemingly has way more sentience and knowledge than Belle, and then you have all the knowledge of the past Heart Queens, and Lilipechka can't do Spirit Dive? I agree, Michael. Like, I think that they needed to do a whole another arc in between the two arcs of the Spade Saga. I'm sorry, guys, if I sound ranty or complaining. I just love Black Clover so much. It just gets me hyped to talk about even the stuff I don't like, because I still enjoy talking about the stuff I don't like. But like, I still love the Spade Saga. Like, you can see, like, this arc that quote unquote ruined the Spade Saga for me is still the fourth best arc in Black Clover. Yeah, she has the spirit, she has Mana Zone, and she's shown like the greatest level of Mana Zone in the series, and she cannot use a Spirit Dive somehow. And I don't really even see how that's within her personality, because Spirit Dive is literally just a power increase. She could literally just, like, do Spirit Dive, and then her defensive spells and her support spells, which are her personality spells, would be even more powerful and be more helpful. And then my final issue, or it's not even my final issue, but it's related to Saint Stage. It's Noelle learns Spirit Dive and Saint Stage in 3 days. It's not that it makes zero sense, because she technically trained with the Dryad that is a god. And the Dryad has a lot of knowledge. But when we compare it to Yuno, how long it took for him to even learn the basic Spirit Dive, let alone full Spirit Dive, and then eventually Saint Stage. When you compare the time frames, it's just... That's why I think that the saga was rushed, and there needed to be another arc that bridged the gap between the two arcs. That's my opinion. Because it really just didn't work perfectly for me. Like, Tabata still, like, he still salvaged it with at least good writing, because Yuno learned Saint Stage at the end of his fight against Zenon. And it's basically explained away that the reasoning why he couldn't do Saint Stage is because Belle didn't know Yuno. She didn't know the real him, because the real him is Star Magic and his Star Grimoire. There's even a scene in the manga where she's like, oh, now I know the real Yuno, or whatever. And that's kind of implied, because Saint Stage is based on resonance with the host. That's Belle knowing about Yuno's Star Magic is likely what allowed for Saint Stage, because now she knew the real him. So, like, Tabata still salvaged that part with, like, great writing that's what allowed him to do Saint Stage, but I don't think it makes up for Noelle learning, like, a full Spirit Dive and Saint Stage in 3 days. And remember, like, I believe it's shown that the Undine and Noelle don't even get along. Yeah, like, I understand, like, this is subjective, and people do like try and justify it, which is fine. But like, this is why I don't like these parts of the Spade Saga. It doesn't ruin it for me, because I still love the arc and I love the Spade Saga. But if you take a few of those things away, man, this arc could have been the best. Like, if you made Morris a good villain, and you like did Saint Stage a little bit differently, it probably could be here, maybe here. But then if you fix like most of those issues I talked about, that would have been literally peak. But no, it's over here. It's still pretty good 4th place. So there are some inconsistencies and minor critiques that kind of lowered your love for that arc a bit. Yeah, exactly. Like, I still love it, but like, when I made a tweet about this, that I put Elf Saga is greater than Spade Saga, and people thought I was like hating on the Spade Saga just because I thought the Elf Saga was better, when it couldn't be further from the case. I love it. Marcel, Noelle is being taught by the elves, Dryad, and Undine. It's not that unbelievable. The elves... Mentioning the elves is a non sequitur, because the elves were teaching everybody else ultimate magic. The point of Noelle was learning Spirit Dive and Saint Stage, which is not ultimate magic. So the elves training her, that's a non sequitur to defending that point. The issue is we're not given, because it's stated that the Dryad is a tree deity, but we are not given a lot more of how powerful she is, how knowledgeable she is, how good of a trainer she is. We don't get any of that. We just get, oh, Noelle trained with a tree to god for 3 days, and now she has Spirit Dive and Saint Stage. So even if you say that she trained with Undine and the deity and the Dryad, the deity, we don't see any of it. And it's still 3 days, whereas Yuno has had Belle for so long. And look how long it took for Yuno to do this. That's I don't think that saying that, like, if it was just Yuno, or no, if it was just Yuno got Undine, and then all of a sudden she used Saint Stage and Spirit Dive on her own in 3 days, that would be even worse. But her training with the Dryad and Undine helping her with Saint Stage, it doesn't bridge the gap for me of it defending it. I think the reason Noelle and Undine resonate is because of their goal to save Wolopechka. Yeah, but it's just... they don't even like each other that much. Like, the resonance thing was done well with Yuno, but it's not done well with Undine. It just isn't. Like, Belle knows Yuno for years, or no, I think it's actually, it is a year and a half, technically. And it takes her knowing who Yuno truly is, that he's a Spade Royal with star magic, to allow for Saint Stage. But Undine she knows Noelle for 6 months, because she trained with her. But she's only actually hosted by her for 3 days, and they learn it. They achieve that resonance. It cheapens it, is what I'm saying. If you think about it, I mean, it's actually shown that he does like Belle. He just gets annoyed by her sometimes, like when she tries to flirt with him. Like, it's actually even more explained in the light novel. Because there's a light novel where it's mostly about Yuno, and he does like Belle. And it's also different because, like, you're saying that Yuno doesn't really like Belle, but like, at least Belle loves Yuno, and whereas with Noelle and the Undine, they didn't really like each other. I get what you're saying. Like, it's not, like... It's hard to, like, do it on the spot without, like, thinking about what my critique is and writing it down, but it just feels cheap when you compare what Yuno had to do and what Noel did. And I'm a Noel stan. Like, I love Noel. And I thought that was a little cheapened. Like, you could have had similar events play out. Like, this could have been so much better if there was just an arc in between the two arcs for the saga. It didn't have to be a really long. You could have had a 20 to 30 chapter arc, and it could have been way better. I do think we're going on a one-lock Spirit Dive, Mr. Star. Marcel, but you're thinking of like conventional power-ups. Saint Stage is based on resonance between the two, the spirit and the host. I know the connection for Undino is Lolopechka. Like, I know that's the connection, but I still think that cheapens Saint Stage. If you guys like it, I'm completely okay with it. I'm just saying why I don't like it. Or, not necessarily why I don't like it, but why it's not great. I wouldn't call it bad, per se. And a lot of times when I say bad in Black Clover, it's bad to what it could have been or compared to other things. Like, but I don't think that just because Undine and Noel want to save Lolopechka, that it's enough to justify a Saint Stage resonance in 3 days. And not only that, it's an even greater resonance than Yuno achieves with Saint Stage. Like, because Yuno can't even go Saint Stage against, like, a full Saint Stage against Lucifero. Whereas Noel can transform into Saint Stage several times. But you know what the weakest moments? I don't think she had the weakest moments. I thought Noel was actually really good in the Spade Saga. Like, her fight against Vanica the first time, and then the rematch, and then the fight against Makikula was actually, I thought, really well written. Like, regardless of Saint Stage, in my opinion, being poorly introduced, it doesn't ruin the series. It's just one of my critiques. That could be true, QVA. You think the reason why there's no bridge is because it's being rushed? It could be. Saint Stage will definitely return in the new saga, Byron, because Yuno and Noel are going to have to do something. Actually, Noel, she might not even have the water spirit anymore, so she might not even be able to do Saint Stage. I think she's going to do something with her, the Sea Goddess, her being related to the Sea God. But, yeah, those are just my critiques of the Spade Saga. I really like it. I really do. I really like it a lot. I love it, actually. But it just wasn't what I had hoped it was after Morris fell off. But like I said, Morris and Lucifero are my two main complaints. Me talking about Saint Stage is more of a minor complaint. But it is one of my complaints. But lowered it. Yeah, but okay, so here's my reasoning for it. Is that even if... So let's look at it this way. The threat of the fate of the entire continent is at stake, and Lolopechka's life is at stake. She's only 21. There's no reason to assume that she can't develop a single attack spell. Just because she hadn't yet. Like, is it likely that she will? No. But when we're talking about the stake of the entire continent and Lolopechka's life, there was no reason to attempt to try and teach her Saint Stage. There was no reason to not to do it. And for two, the power system allows for these special powers to be shared. Um, damn, I just got lost what I was saying. It's not propaganda, sleeping danger. There's actually a preponderance of evidence that it's a possible theory. But anyways, I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, Saint Stage, and why it would be useless for her. Because if she's a support mage, which means she gives her power to other people. And we've seen characters like Lictor Lumiere who had forbidden magic, and they gave it to other people so that they were protected by the forbidden magic spell, because it was forbidden magic protecting against forbidden magic. There's no reason to assume that Lilipetch could not do the same thing and give Saint Stage to other people with her support spells, so she could make people temporarily Saint Stage. The power system would allow that as a possibility. But yeah, go look up. I'll look up the title. I don't remember the title of the theory. I'll look it up. But yeah, I made a theory almost 2 years ago about Noelle being the daughter of the sea god. Look up Noelle's real father, Hidden Power Explained. It's one of my videos, and I think that Noelle is the daughter of the sea god. This is why people call her the sea goddess. That is true, Dark of the Demon. Noelle started off as a support mage, and then she eventually got her attack spell. One smart. Undine was with Lopechka all those 21 years. I mean, but here's the thing. Like, I get your point. The Demon Dweller Sword is an item. A magic item. There's no reason to assume there wouldn't be another magic item, or something else that would allow it. And also, just because she knows her best doesn't mean she knows for a fact that she's not going to change. Yeah, that's true. The fact that Lilipetchka had attack spells while influenced by Vanica means the possibility of her getting attack spells is there. It really is. Like, I completely understand if Undine didn't teach Noelle or Lilipetchka Saint Stage in a normal scenario where the kingdom's fine, blah 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 blah, there's no threat. Okay, one smart. That's part of my critique. Is she loves Lilipetchka. She doesn't want Lilipetchka to change. And because of that, she will allow the entire continent and Lilipetchka's life to be put on high stakes because she does not want to teach her Saint Stage. I think that's my critique. You can like that, and that's completely fine. Like, if you like it, that's good. I don't like that part. Like, she loved Lilipetchka's innocence, that she could not develop an attack spell at that time. But you could still have other ways around it. Is Asta or Lick's Grimoire sword magic or a quick magic? Well, the Grimoire was originally a sword magic Grimoire, and then it turned into a Fifth Leaf Clover Grimoire. I don't know what it could even be called now in terms of a magic ability, because technically it's not an anti-magic Grimoire because it's Liba's power, not the Grimoires. Hi guys, we're just talking about, I just have a critique against the Saint Stage was introduced into Black Clover. And we're just talking about it. Yeah, one smart. I like I said, one smart. I know that Undine did not want Lilipetchka to change, but that is like my critique. Like, there's a point to where if she did, so there's one thing, right? She didn't want Lilipetchka to change, but technically Lilipetchka is gonna change because she's gonna die if she didn't teach her Saint Stage. That's one of the high possibilities. Because Lilipetchka was going to die in 6 months from the curse. Or the entire continent was going to be taken over by Megakilo. I mean, that's like, so looking at it like that is like, she wanted to maintain Lilipetchka. And another thing is that she still could have done that, right? She still could have maintained Lolopechka's innocence, but she could have told Yuno and Vogolian about Same Stage, and she didn't. Like, she could have done that in secret, and Lolopechka didn't have to know about it. Yeah, Noelle called out Undine for not teaching her Same Stage. And that's good that she did that, because she should, but it really should have been handled differently, in my opinion. And honestly, I don't think this would be as big of a critique from my opinion if Saint Stage was introduced with a lot more foreshadowing or build-up, instead of just coming out of nowhere. Video buddy, have you ever talked about how Gordon's dad has a 5-leaf Glimmer? He does not. I'm actually making a YouTube short and a TikTok to post those, because he does not have a 5-leaf Clover Grimoire. But I understand the confusion. The anime made it look really confusing, but if you look at the anime, it's Asta's Grimoire that is the 5-leaf Clover Grimoire. It is not Gordon's dad. When you see Gordon's dad, Nathan, when you first see him open his Grimoire, you see his design, you see his 3-leaf Clover, then it pans to Asta, and then it shows his 5th-leaf Clover Grimoire. But the anime error was that the anime made it so that Asta's Grimoire was the same magical aura color as Nathan's. So it made you think that this was Nathan's Grimoire. But when you actually first see it, it's a 3-leaf Clover. And then in the manga, every time you see Nathan's Grimoire, it's a 3-leaf Clover. So that's actually a huge misnomer in the fandom. But it's because the anime just poorly colored Asta's Grimoire for a scene. But yeah, that's my art, oh my god, I cannot talk because I'm tired. That is my Black Clover arc tier list. But thanks for coming in, guys. I know a lot of you guys disagree, and that's completely fine. That's what, liking stuff is in terms of subjectivity. But I'm glad it was pretty good, that nobody really got super mad. It's nice, y'all are chill. But I'm gonna have to end the stream now. I got a shit ton of homework to do. But thanks for coming in, guys. I'll be streaming in again in a few days, and then I have a really fun video coming out this week. And then, unfortunately, I had to push back my huge Black Clover theory one more week because school just was a mess last week. But thanks for coming in, y'all.